Dlatego! Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferris 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferris 64 is the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, reviews, and so much more. We got a pretty stacked episode today. Speaking of stacks, I also have a stack of games to show off today as well. We got Concord, the open beta, well, closed beta, but they kind of I'll talk about it in a minute. We got Concord. I finished Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I've been playing Angerfoot and a bunch of other games, along with plenty of news that came out throughout the week. So let's just jump in, get started with the first part of the show, which is what have I picked up this past week. Alright, my game collecting addiction kind of got the best of me this week, so I picked up a bit more than I would personally have wanted to, but probably next week will be a little bit of a slower week. But, well, you know, it happened, we're here, we're doing this now. Let's talk about the first game that I picked up, which was 007 Tomorrow Never Dies. So this game, I watched a channel called Mini-Me, spelled Mimmime, and he was talking about this game, and I was like, oh, that's the game that Greedy Waffles and I used to play, right? And I don't know why I do this sometimes, but I saw the game in the video thumbnail, and I watched like 2 seconds of the video, and I went on eBay and I bought this for it was like $5. And I'm watching the video, I'm like, wait a second, that's not that's not the game we played. This one's a third-person shooter. It's actually I believe this game came out after GoldenEye, but before the next PS1 game, which is the one that we played. This one was I don't believe that this one is it was it, but the disc and everything was in good condition. There was also the manual in here, which I also like to see. There's also. Behind the disc is just a bunch of fire. So the disc looked good. I thought that it was a pretty good deal. I mean, $5 plus shipping, not too bad. 007 Tomorrow Never Dies. Add that to my PS1 collection. So I went to Best Buy this past week and I picked up Cruisin' Blast. This game came out last year. The game is currently inside my Switch, so that's why it's not there right now. I've been playing it this past week, so I'll talk about it in the next section. But Cruisin' Blast, I've had my eye on this game since it released, and I was waiting for it to go down in price so that I didn't mind picking it up. It's $20 now base price, which I think is pretty good. I mean, sure, maybe 15 or 10 would be better, obviously, but $20 for this isn't too bad. It's got a good amount of content in it, and like I said, I'll talk about it in a little bit. Not much to really say about it now, though, and once again, like, the inside is just such a... I mean, comparing it to Tomorrow Never Dies, the inside of Tomorrow Never Dies, like, it's so sad to see this. Yeah, what just white for the people listening in the Spotify version. Is the inside is just white. It's so sad to see. All right, we got some PSP games here. First one up, I talked about this game last week, and I didn't know if it was actually going to be in good condition or not because I got a really good deal on it. Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier. I won this in a bid on eBay, and I was concerned whether it was going to actually be a good deal, and yes, it was. The disc is in perfect condition, minus like a smudge on the clear plastic. But this game was in perfect condition. I got it for way less than retail value, which is usually around $30 to $40. So I actually found a really good underground steal. No one even, I think only one person bid against me, and they tried to do a snipe, but I had set my price at a maximum of $25, and it only went up to $11.97. Can you fucking believe that for Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier? I forgot to say the name of the game earlier. I apologize about that. The game itself is in great condition. The manual's in here. The box is a little bit worse for wear for here and there, and also the cover art is a little bit worse for wear around the edges. But hey, this was one of the best deals that I found this year so far, and I'm happy about that. Also on the PSP, picked up a Wipeout Pure. Wipeout Pure. So this is an interesting story. I was on DK Oldies, the website that sells, obviously. I don't even know what this is. There's like some sort of like something you mail in to PlayStation here. Whatever. But anyway, I was on DK Oldies website, and they had a bunch of games that were kind of like on sale for the PSP. And I decided, I'll pick up one, see how it is. I know that DK Oldies has had some, I don't know, some criticisms lobbied against them. I mean, fair criticisms as well. And I just, I was like, it's a great deal for this game. I don't think this game is like that crazy in general in terms of price. But, I thought I might as well give them a try. It was like $13 at the end of the day. That includes shipping. And I just kind of wanted the Wipeout game for the PSP, so I picked that up. The next PSP game, which is the last one that I'm going to show off, is one game that I'm going to be talking about today. I actually picked this one up back when I first got the PSP, so it's a bit of like an update on the collection here. Me and My Katamari. This is, of course, a part of the Katamari series, if you didn't realize from the title. And this is the PSP game. The reason why I picked this one up is because I really enjoyed Katamari when I played it, Katamari Damacy when I played it, and I also played the remaster. This came with a poster of the island or islands that you can go to, along with the manual as well. It just kind of looks like the cover art there. But I had a pretty good time with it. I'll talk about it, of course, in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought I might as well show this one off since I'm going to be talking about it today, and I probably won't have a reason to show it off in the future. All right, the next set of games. We got a bundle of 3 PS3 games here. First up is Star Wars: The Clone Wars Republic Heroes. I had heard of this game, and I believe it is on Steam, but they were selling it in a bundle for like $5, and I said, why not on this one? The thing about these 3 games that I got are they smelled like cigar smoke, and I have been airing them out. I've been leaving them kind of like sitting open on my my counter over there, or table over there, to air them out. And this game doesn't smell bad anymore, but there is a bit of a puncture on the case there, so I'll probably have to get a different case for this one. Maybe, I mean, if I want to. This other one, though, is in perfect condition, smells fine. This was the least smelly of all the PS3 games in the lot. And I had actually bought this one along with the other 2 games, and the other one I haven't shown off yet for a reason that I'll get to. I wanted to have a game that I could be like, oh, I'll just switch out the case, if the case doesn't look good. That's NHL 11. The other reason why I bought this one is because the facial expression that this guy is making is just fucking hilarious. I love that so much. But I bought it because it's like, well, if I need a case, I have a case, right? But both of the games that I got along with this one were in worse condition than I thought they were. Not my best pickup on eBay, that's for sure. And that is about to be shown right here with Wheelman, which I thought in the picture that this disgusting yellowing was because someone left it out in the sun for too long. No, this thing reeks of cigar smoke. It is, if you open this up, it just emanates from inside, which is a shame. I got a really good deal on it, $10. I believe this game goes for about 20 or more, especially the Xbox 360 version. But if you don't know, this is the Vin Diesel game where you can like jump between cars and whatnot. I thought it'd be kind of fun to play on stream. I have ordered a pack of replacement cases, so this will definitely be one of the cases that gets swapped out. And even then, the manual smells terrible in this one. I am so disappointed, and I should have known from the look of the case in the person's pictures that it was going to be a bad one, but I thought that I honestly thought it was just sun fading, but it actually is just so, I don't know, smoky. I don't know. I left the positive feedback anyway, but I made sure to mention like, hey, This thing was cigar smoked up. Like it smells. It's ooh, it smells terrible. Like it actually smells terrible. If you like cigars, whatever. I mean, I don't care if you like cigars, but I personally am not a smoker. So, but the other two games were fine, all things considered. So at least it was only one out of the three that I really need to replace, and I could replace the one for Star Wars Republic Heroes if I want to, but I don't think I will. But that was what I picked up this past week. Let me know what you thought of my pickups in the comments below, and let's move on to what have I been playing this past week. All right, first up on the list of games I've been playing is, of course, Concord, the 5v5 hero shooter from PlayStation. I forget who developed it. Who developed this game? Let me look it up real quick. So the developer is Firewalk Studios. So this game was shown off at the most recent State of Play, and I talked about it back then. You can listen to my thoughts that were fresh back then when I watched the trailers, and my main thing was like, yeah, the CG, like, really well put together trailer looked fun, but it also looked like a completely different game. It looked like it was going to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy heisting kind of thing. But instead, when the actual gameplay started up, it was just I didn't know how many players, but it's a 5v5 hero shooter / brawler. Some of the characters have melee abilities, but it's mostly a hero shooter. Kind of like Overwatch, kind of like Paladins, kind of like that Marvel Rivals that's coming out. There's so many of these hero shooters now. I even was in my mind while I was playing it, I was like, is this kind of like Battleborn as well? Like, there's a little bit of similarity with one of the characters being like a mushroom character. And I remember in Battleborn there was a mushroom character who had like shurikens that he threw at people, and he could heal himself with like a giant mushroom. I'm one of the only people who probably remembers playing Battleborn. That was one of those games that came out during a time when I was very much like just kind of grabbing every game on the market, and that was one of them. And I was pretty excited for Battleborn when it came out. Gearbox game. I enjoyed their stuff. But in the end, the game just kind of crashed and burned because, I mean, it didn't have the audience, and two, like, I think at that time people were already like, well, we have Overwatch, we have Paladins, why do we need Battleborn, right? And Concord is kind of in the same realm. It is in the same realm as Overwatch. Battleborn at least had like a single player mode, or even like a co-op mode where you could go through like campaign levels and do stuff. Whereas Overwatch, Concord, Paladins, they all kind of just are what they are. They're hero shooters and brawlers and whatever. And Concord is the same way. Even though they try to give it a little bit of story here and there, they sprinkle it in. They have like the group of people sitting around at their control module when the game boots up, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get this job, and we're gonna be, the free runner gang is gonna be into the competition to get the big bucks." And it's like, yeah, this is all great. It's too bad that like you're designing these personalities and these characters around, around this cutscene, and you're never going to see that actually represented in the gameplay itself. Like, sure, they'll do some quips here or there, but for the most part, the guy with spikes all over his body is just the dude with spikes all over his body. I mean, his personality doesn't even matter from the cutscenes, because when you're in the game using them, they give out the quip here and there, but really it's like, okay, I'm just playing a first-person shooter with a revolver or a pistol or whatever he has, right? So that's besides the point. The main meat and bones of this is that the game very much just kind of plays like your hero shooters that you've played before. I don't really feel like there's anything too special about it from playing a couple hours here and there. If you don't know, you can access the closed beta if you have a PlayStation Plus subscription only for this weekend, and then the open beta is next weekend, where anyone can play the open beta. I'm sure that the player count's going to bloom a little bit from that. I'm sure that there's a good amount of people with PlayStation Plus who are trying out the game right now, which is good. But the problem is that it kind of worries me a little bit, because they're already trying to grab more players and fish them in with these incentives, where before it was, hey, you have to pre-order the game on either PC or PlayStation to access the closed beta. Now it's, well, if you have PlayStation Plus, you can also access that. And obviously there's a lot of people who are subscribed to PlayStation Plus, and it doesn't matter if you're an Essentials tier, a Premium tier, or an Extras tier. You can download the beta and play it if you so desire this weekend, or like I said, next weekend. Everyone can play it anyway, so you can just download it from wherever next week as well. I don't know what you want me to say about this game. It is a first-person shooter, hero shooter, with plenty of different characters. Some of them are kind of unique compared to other games out there. But obviously it does share some similarities here and there with the characters and what they can do. There's a rocket launcher character who's kind of like Farah, who can boost up into the air and fire rockets down. A little bit slower and a little bit less maneuverable than Farah, but still it's the same concept. You have a jetpack, you have a rocket launcher. That's the character who I've been using the most, though. I feel like her damage output just kind of exceeds any other opponent out there. Like, I'll have people shooting me with assault rifles and with pistols, and they will just get destroyed as I just use my rocket launcher and hit them like 3 times in a row. They just die. It seems a little bit unfair. I'm sure she'll be nerfed a bit by the time the game actually comes out. I've tried to play with as many characters as I could, but there are some characters who I just cannot stand. But the characters who I do like to play as, I don't know their names. I apologize. Maybe I should look them up. I don't. But once again, that would be disingenuous of me because I really don't care what their names are. And that's the end of the sentence. I really don't care what their names are. I've just been using them. So there's this bigger guy who has a burst rifle. He's a healer. He puts down these like discs that are healing. They have like a healing area around him. And then he also has a shield that he can throw down. That's a big like dome shield, and he can protect multiple people at the same time. You can't shoot out, but enemies also can't shoot back in. So it's kind of like it negates 2 different things right there. But I did get the best game or the best match with him, and then also the Rocket Lady. I also had a pretty good match with her, but I did get the best match with the burst rifle guy. I felt like he also, as a person who plays arcade first-person shooters and plenty of different game genres in the first-person shooter genre, he felt the best, in my opinion. He just kind of felt the best all around. And the healing isn't like super crazy like in Overwatch, where you can kind of have someone just be Mercy and heal someone continuously. The healing is a little bit slower than those games, so it's still a tactical advantage to have the healing disc down, but it's not going to be an overwhelming advantage that's going to completely negate any damage that you dish out towards the other person. There is a character with like a shield and a Gatling gun, which I found to be really annoying to fight against. Kind of like how, you can fight against Reinhardt, who has a big shield, but his shield takes up. He doesn't have range or anything to his attacks. He's a very close range kind of character, so you can kind of at least take him out from afar. Whereas this character, she puts away her shield and she has a Gatling gun that can kill you in like 3 seconds. And then there's also the problem with the shield just coming back. Whenever I started shooting, the person would bring the shield back up. I was just so annoyed. And whenever that character is in a match, I try to stay far away from them because it's so annoying to try and dish out damage to this character. And they just have their shield up, and their shield just seemingly just takes all of the ammo. It just takes every single bullet that you have, and it's so annoying. I'm sure if you ganged up on her, obviously it would work a little bit better, but, some matches you have a team who's working together, sticking together, and everything's fine. Other games you have people who are more lone wolf style, and usually you lose those matches. You have those lone wolf style people who just kind of go and do their own thing, and that's when the game kind of starts to fall apart a little bit, because if the other team is working together, you just get decimated because it's 1v5 or 1v4 every single time, or 1v3 every time you go into a battle. So teamwork is definitely key in this game, but it's also been key in any other brawler, not brawler, hero shooter as well. I mean, if you bunch up in Overwatch and you're all using your stuff together, obviously you're going to have more of an advantage over the other team who might not be doing that. So it's just one of those things. It's kind of random at this point. I mean, unless you have a group of friends that you're playing with who will help and come to your aid. But it is one of those games where it's like, okay, you're either going to have a good match or a bad match depending on how your team plays. And this one is definitely high up there on that because your single little character usually can't take out the big shield guy on their own. And yeah. Other characters that I've played as, there's like this girl character who has a tail. She's kind of alien-esque, or she is very alien-esque. She has like an SMG, and she has like these little orbs she can shoot out. She was fine. I don't know. It didn't really float my boat. There's this other guy who has these cool glasses that actually... They kind of looked like my glasses right here that he wears. And he has like a energy rifle or whatever. He was okay. He kind of reminded me of Zendaya at times because he has these orbs they can shoot out that heal your teammates, or he has a negative orb that he can throw out and dish out damage. So it's kind of Zendaya-esque, except he has an assault rifle that he can use to take out the enemies as well. There's another guy who is like the poster boy of the game. He kind of, he's obviously very much inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy, Zandu. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Yandu. He's very much that character. And it's very obvious they're wearing the inspirations on their sleeve with this, at least with this guy a lot, whatever. So anyway, not only does he have like that slim physique and that like kind of gruff voice, he's got like, he kind of has that chiseled face, kind of like how, what's his name, Woody Harrelson or whatever his name is, does as well. So it's very much inspired by that Yandu and also the character or the person who plays him. Where it differs, though, he has a pistol. He has a revolver, kind of like McCree from Overwatch, where he can shoot it a couple times and reload. He also has a secondary pistol that shoots really fast, kind of like the fan the hammer ability for McCree or whatever. He has a new name now. You know what? I don't care. Don't even tell me in the comments what his name is now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. He also has like a healing ability where he'll heal himself. He's fine. He's like the basic kind of guy that you want to use. There's also a guy with an assault rifle. He can throw smoke grenades and actually has a scope on his rifle that he can actually see through the smoke. It kind of reminds me of one of those Valorant characters. I know one of them has an ability kind of like that where you can see through smoke with a specific scope. I don't really remember what else he did. Honestly, he also had a frag grenade, which is like, okay, so he's like the Soldier 76, the Soldier 76 of the game. And the other guy, the Star Child or whatever his name is, it's the one that I actually kind of remember his name. He has like a really powerful rifle that shoots like one shot, and then it has like 6 shots, but it's like a slow shooting rifle. His thing is he can like charge into enemies and do tons of damage, and then he also has like the diamond armor on him as well that makes him invulnerable while he's doing that. So it's kind of interesting here and there. Did I play it as any other characters? I haven't played as any other characters right now, and there's one character who I played as for about 2 seconds, and I didn't anymore. There's this character who like shoots goop on the ground with a grenade launcher type weapon, and then you can light it on fire, which causes damage to the enemy. So the initial blast is a little bit of damage, but it's not a lot. But when you light it on fire, that's when the damage really comes. I didn't like the style at all. There's another character that's like the spy from Team Fortress 2. She can't go invisible, but she has like a pistol, and she has like the mannerisms of the character and like the body language is very much spy-esque. There is another girl who has like the throwing knives. She can go invisible and stuff like that. She also has a really low health, but she can also backstab one hit kill, I'm pretty sure. So maybe she's a bit more of the spy of the game. I don't know. But that's really, that's all the characters I've really played as. And The gameplay itself feels a bit sluggish in my opinion. It's a bit slow. And I do remember also like Overwatch 2, they updated the game one of those times and they changed the game speed a little bit and it just didn't feel as good. This one kind of the same way where it's like it's a bit slower. It's not as fast paced as most of your other first person shooters out there, of course. But it really, I mean, compared to other first person shooters, it just feels so slow. I mean, it feels extra slow after playing games like Anchorfoot and Call of Duty and stuff like that. But it just really felt super slow, felt a little sluggish here and there. In terms of like graphics, like yeah, I mean it looks great. Like if this game was a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of clone kind of game, and you were playing as a group of like 5 or so, maybe even co-op partners, you can co-op with other people in like a Starfield type world, because that's kind of what it reminded me of with the when the music came in and the ship was gliding through space. I was like, oh, that's kind of like Starfield, how Starfield looks. Obviously, this game does look a bit better than Starfield. But still, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I mean, the soundtrack kind of sounds Mass Effect-y slash Starfield-y. You know, the graphics are better than both of those games, obviously, but there's not like it's more of like style without the substance to it, right? Like, yeah, you can try and set up these characters and give them personalities in the cutscenes all you want, but the real thing that makes you like characters and really get into them is when you play as them. You know, I don't think people would have been super crazy about Kratos if you didn't actually play as Kratos. If it was just in cutscenes where a cutscene where you saw Kratos and then the rest of the game you played as him, but he didn't really do anything, he really didn't say anything, he really didn't form a personality. You know, I don't think as many people would have loved Kratos or any. Right? I mean, just think of any character out there. If it was like imagine playing like God of War 2018, and Kratos was in a group of other like Norse gods, and it was a hero brawler, and that was the first time you ever saw Kratos. And it was just in a opening cutscene of the game where he's like, "I'm gonna kill you all," and that's it. That's all he does. Yeah, I don't think people would have been so crazy about Kratos, right? Same thing here, where it's like you have these characters, they're in this crew, and there's the opening cutscene happens, and like the guy like kisses a bobblehead, and the girl's like, "Why are you kissing that?" And he's like, "We need to remember the fallen," and like it's supposed to get all emotional, and it's like, what are you trying to sell me on? And then all the while, the first time you're watching that cutscene, on the side of the screen, tick 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 tick. Like you're getting a bunch of like lore icons that are adding things to your codex, and it's like this. What are we trying to do here? Like okay, that does sort of solve the problem where the game doesn't have a lot of personality to it because of the issue that it's a multiplayer shooter, but I don't want to have to read paragraph and paragraph and paragraph of information just to get a little bit of lore behind the characters in the world. I want to be in the world. I want to play in the world. And you don't get that. You know, you don't get that. You don't get that same feeling you had with Mass Effect, where you go to different planets and you're interacting with different species. You don't get that because everyone is just there and you play as them. And you know when you are them, you don't even realize that you are an alien most of the time because you can't really see their skin or anything like that. You know, it just irks me because this game could have been so much more. I mean, I would rather have had a Guardians of the Galaxy clone than a 5v5 hero shooter. That's just me. And I think I'm also in the majority here on this one because there's a lot of people who are like, even when the game is like, there's people who are like, no thanks, even when the game is open to PlayStation Plus people to play it. You know, there's people saying, no thank you, don't care, don't want to play it. Me personally, I'm a curious guy. You know, I play plenty of different games throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of a month, throughout the course of the year. I try to play as many different genres and many different games as I can, whether they be new or old. So I'm always trying something out, whether I think I'm going to like it or not, because you never know. And with Concord, I went into it knowing that I was going to be a bit underwhelmed with it, but I wanted to give it a fair shot. And playing this beta right now, and probably going to play the beta in next week as well, just to see, you know, with more people in the mix, you know, can this game shine? And but I'm not rushing to pre-order it. Like I never like, even when they showed off like the little snippet of like a teaser trailer, I wasn't like, oh, I gotta pre-order that, right? I still am not that way, and I probably will never pre-order this. I probably won't buy this game full price. I'm guessing it'll go down in price pretty quickly after all is said and done. I don't think this one's gonna have the longevity of something like Overwatch or Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, Sony is really trying here to get a live service game that is in the same genre as these other hero brawlers, and they found success with Helldivers 2. Even though the numbers are dwindling a little bit on the game, it's still a very successful experience. It's still a very successful game. They kind of struck gold with that one, but with Concord, you can really see the corporate tentacles stripping away the personality of the game, and it's just kind of sad to see. And it probably could have been something way more interesting once upon a time, but now it is just a 5v5 first-person shooter, and the market is just oversaturated with those. It's unfortunate, but I don't think that this one's gonna last too long. But we'll wait and see. You know, I'm maybe the sales will be a little bit better than we think, but I know personally that I'm not gonna buy the game right away. I think I've really reached the maximum amount of enjoyment with the game right now, because I've played like 20 matches, and I'm just like, so when does the fun begin? Like, sure, there are moments of fun, like when I had that good game as the triple shot rifle guy. Like, yeah, there's moments of fun. There's some things I like about the game too. You can actually customize the characters you can choose from. You can actually form your own crew if you want to, which is kind of cool. I like that idea. Everyone else still gets to pick whatever character they want, and if they pick a character, then you can't pick that character. But still, it's cool that you can actually order the characters the way that like if you really like this certain character, you put them all the way at the start of your list, so you don't have to go through all of them to find the one that you like. I do like that ability. I just wish that there was more practicality to it, other than just like, okay, I like these characters, I'm going to put them in my crew. Well, do they show up in your ship? I haven't seen any of the new characters in my ship. I haven't seen any of the other characters in the opening cutscene. Nothing changes. So what's the point other than just a mechanical thing, right? It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And if you want to try it out, like I said, you can get it on. If you have PlayStation Plus, you don't even have to pre-order it. You can get it. You know, if you have PlayStation Plus, you can just download the beta. Then the open beta is going to happen next week. So if you want to wait for that, there you go. I think that it's worth giving it a try, especially when it's in open beta form. But just know that the open beta is probably representative of what the game is going to actually be, because it's actually going to be out in not too much time as of this point. So check it out if you want to. Me personally, I've checked it out, and I'm probably checked out of wanting to pre-order the game or even play the game at its full launch. The couple of game modes in there are just the basic game modes that you get in any other first-person shooter, team deathmatch. Well, not even. It's elimination rounds. Pick up the kill card, you know, the dog tags kind of thing, the kill confirmed kind of game mode, an objective-based game mode as well. Then there's also, once you reach level 6, there is a ranked mode, which is just pretty much the same thing, capture the flags and all that stuff. So, all in all, not super impressed with the game, but at least it looks nice, and at least I can play it for free, so I know that I probably won't be picking this up for quite some time, if not at all. I would probably buy this game for maybe $20 or $10, but $40, I mean, I like that it's not $70, but still. And I'm kind of guessing that character with like the spikes all over his body is going to be the next Astrobot, or one of the future Astrobot guys. The DLC, they added on another Astrobot to Astro's Playroom. So if you want, you can go back and play that. I believe this one is from Returnal, so you can try that out. I think that either the final one or the second to last one is going to be one of the characters from Concord, I'm sure. And there's probably going to be a Concord reference in the new Astrobot game too. So anyway, I've talked about Concord enough. Let's move on to Angerfoot. Angerfoot is a fast-paced first-person shooter, first-person kicker as well. So essentially, You start off in a level, and sometimes they give you weapons, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you gotta kick your way through the door and then kick your way into getting an enemy's weapon. If you remember my conversation about Mullet Mad Jack, it's kind of the same thing except way less synthwave and a bit more versatile. So I really liked Mullet Mad Jack. I think I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed that experience. And this game is very similar to that, which is why when I originally talked about Mullet Mad Jack, I was like, they're kind of taking the air out of these tires for Angerfoot, because this, a Mullet Mad Jack is already like the door kicking game of the year, right? Well, Angerfoot came around and said, okay, we see what you're doing. We're going to show off a bit more about the game before it comes out to make sure that you know that's differentiating itself from Mullet Mad Jack. Or maybe that's not what they thought. I don't care. But essentially, Angerfoot is the same concept where you kick down a door and you go through it and you kill the enemies in the area, then you move through the next door, right? But the game is a lot more has a lot more going on in terms of enemy variety, weapon variety, special ability variety, and also room variety, like setup variety as well. There's a bit of verticality to it. There's a bit of a maze-like structure to some levels as well. No, there's no death counter, like, oh, if you don't get an enemy killed in this many seconds, you die, right? But it is a one-hit kill kind of game, or two-hit kill if you're being shot at, or sometimes, okay, I should take that back. It's a one-hit kill game unless the enemy is using, like, a pistol, then it's, like, 2 hits. Same thing with the SMG, it's, like, 2 hits with the SMG, right? So it's fast time to kill, fast time to die. Kind of like Hotline Miami, and even like Mullet Mad Jack as well. And that's the part of the game that like really gets your blood pumping, really gets you moving. You're going through these levels. Maybe you have a pistol, maybe you don't. You're just kicking people, kicking doors in, kicking grenades back at enemies, kicking enemies who have bombs for heads back at the enemies as well. The one thing I really like about this game, and it's kind of similar to Mullet Mad Jack, is I really like the graphical design. I like the soundtrack. I like the character designs. I think that the world that they're building is like so cool. It kind of reminds me of like a claymation style almost with some of the character designs. They're just kind of really ugly at times, but also like they're just kind of cool. Like there's these alligator head guys, or well, I don't even know what they have alligator heads. That's the one thing. They're really cool. And then there's these guys who have like these really ugly faces, but they wield pistols, and it's like, okay, that's kind of ugly, but I'm glad that I'm kicking these guys. And there's plenty of more enemies as well. There's like guys with shotguns who have hands for heads. There's like guys who throw grenades at you who are wearing like this outfit that looks like a grenade, but it's like like one of those winter coats and a beanie on. There is these like pigeon cut type characters who wear like SWAT vests and they have shields. So yeah, there's a lot of variety so far. I'm only in like the third. Well, I guess I'm in the second world right now. I guess you could call it the second set of levels, and it's already ramping up the difficulty and the variety of the game very well. The main goal of the game is to get your sneakers back. Your 4 legendary sneakers are stolen, and of course you get sneakers along the way as well. Some of them give the enemies give the enemies giant heads. The other one, if you kick an enemy, you get ammo back for your gun. There's another one where you kick, like, you do an upper kick instead of a straight kick. So, like, the enemies fly upwards instead of flying backwards. I don't know why you would want that, but it's cool to have anyway. And yeah, there's some really cool stuff going on in this game. The soundtrack's bumping. The game itself is very fast-paced, very, very good. I'll probably finish it up this next week and talk about it maybe a little bit more next week. But so far, I'm really enjoying Angerfoot. I'm glad that I picked it up. And if you liked Mullet Mad Jack, or if you're a person who really enjoys first-person shooters or fast-paced first-person shooters, fast-paced boomer shooters, and maybe check this one out. It's a bit of a unique take on the genre, even though there's a game that's kind of adjacent to it that came out already this year. Yeah, let me know what you think if you picked it up. Very much would like to know. All right, let's talk about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I finished this game this past week, and look, I'm actually so glad that I played it myself and it was able to experience it myself, because all I've heard about this game since launch has been negative, 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 negative. And yeah, I've added to that negativity a couple of times. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. I said the Joker shouldn't be in the game with the Season 1 thing. I didn't like his design. And yes, I did call out some of the things from the trailers for Suicide Squad and the I also played like the closed alpha version of the game, so I had a few things to say about that were a bit negative. But in the end, when I actually played the full package and actually got through the entire full package, I actually really enjoyed my time with it. Last week I was a bit mixed on it because I was just starting out. But I had not gotten to the point where you start to get the really cool weapons and you start to get the really cool gear and you start to do more stuff in the world. And even though the stuff at the beginning of the game is still good, like the Batman experience and kind of getting adjusted to the the Brainiac attack, of course. Now that I've gotten through the entire game, I can definitely say like, yeah, it was a blast. I enjoyed my time with it. I don't know how much more of the game I'm going to play in terms of like, all this end of game stuff that you can do. You can redo any mission that you want. You can all pretty much all the objectives you had to do throughout the campaign are like these little missions you can pick up and do. And it's like, yeah, I understand like that can get really old, especially if you have to redo them over and over and over again, like you do, like you can, I guess. But I think that the base experience for the game, going from the start of the campaign to the end of the campaign, is great. I really enjoyed it. Afterwards, I still was enjoying my time, but I knew that if I kept playing, the repetitiveness of doing the same missions over and over again was going to get old. And even though I liked going into the other dimensions and taking down, the bad guys as quickly as you can, then getting out and getting some cool gear, I knew that it wasn't sustainable for me personally as a person who really doesn't like live service games. I knew it was going to be sustainable for me. Even though I played this one a lot longer than I was expecting to, I played a good like 5 or more hours after the end of the campaign, finding all the Riddler stuff, getting all the side missions done that I could, and then also taking out several the other Brainiacs that I could at that time. And I was having a decent time with it for sure, but I could really feel it start to be like, okay, we're doing another Ivy mission, we're doing another Toyman mission, we're doing another this mission. And the other thing that I noticed, and I think another reviewer brought this up as well, I forget who it was, but I remember them saying, like, it doesn't really feel like you're getting anything done in the city, unlike Arkham Knight or Arkham City itself. So Metropolis kind of is under siege all the way through the game and after the game as well. And it doesn't really feel like you're really making a dent in that because nothing really changes. You take down one of the giant cannons, well, another one just gets put up in a different part of the town. Or like there's these miniature cannons that you can take down. And I was hoping that they were going to be like, there's, you take out 50 of these cannons on the map or whatever, and they stayed dead. No, they come back. They just give you resources. I feel like if they had made the game a little bit more like Arkham Knight or Arkham City, where when you're doing objectives and getting things done, you actually see your effort actually take place on the map, that would have been great. But unfortunately, they didn't really do that. The fruits of your labor aren't really out there for you to see and be like, oh, I destroyed this cannon, so now Argus took it over, or Shield took it, whatever. Argus took it over. No, it's unfortunate that you don't really see that in the game world itself. I was really hoping for something like that to start happening as I started completing more objectives for different characters. Other than that, though, I found the combat to be a blast. I know I was kind of ragging on it last time, but once I got those upgraded weapons and I really started to upgrade my character, it just felt really good. King Shark is the one that I played it with, and he's really the only character I play in the game at all with, because I like his moveset the best, I like his abilities the best, I like the weapons he can use the best, and by golly, if I try and switch to anyone else, it's probably not going to be as fun. I tried playing as Harley Quinn a little bit with some upgraded weapons. I just don't like her movement stuff, like with the bat grapple and stuff. It just doesn't feel great. Same thing with Captain Boomerang. I tried him for like 1 second, and I was just like, this is just unintuitive as all hell. Like the Boomerang Speed Force thing is just not great. But Deadshot at least was kind of okay to use. He has like this little jetpack that he uses. I thought that his movement and stuff was fine. I just really liked King Shark. I thought that King Shark's character was like the best. which just leads me back to like, well, why couldn't we have just had a cooperative Suicide Squad game? I wish that there was more Suicide Squad members who actually just like died, like in the movies and in the animated shows and in the comics. Like I mean, the whole thing about the Suicide Squad is that there's bombs planted in their heads, and if you do something wrong or if you mess up something, or if you're surrounded by enemies, they'll just blow up the bomb in your head. I feel like the game kind of needed a few like throwaway characters that they could just kind of be like, oh, and here's the character that gets his head blown up in the first few seconds of the game, and here's the character who you're with for a little while, and you're starting to get to know them, and then their head gets blown off. And here's another character who tries to run away, like Slipknot from the first Suicide Squad movie. The man who can climb anything. Yeah, woo! The man who can climb anything, baby! I fucking hate that movie so much. But anyway, the game itself, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I really had a good time with it. I thought the story was good. I thought it was well written, personally. I know there's some people who are like, I hate Poison Ivy, I hate Toyman. Shut up. They're not that bad. I think that people are over exaggerating a bit, or they're just jumping on the hate train for clicks and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of honest reviewers out there who didn't like the game, and that's fine. If you're an honest reviewer who played the game, you put the hours in, and you ended up not liking it, that's fine. The same thing happened with Skull and Bones to me, where I was kind of positive on it at the beginning, and then towards the end, as I finished the main like story, I guess, in the game, and got to the open world stuff where it just kind of repeated doing like the same mission over and over again. I didn't like it as much, but with this game, with Suicide Squad, I feel like kind of in the same boat where it's like I played through the game myself. I know there's a lot of people who play through the games themselves. They have their own opinions. But for some reason, I just really clicked with this one, and maybe it's because it's DC. Maybe it's characters that I know and like. Maybe. I really enjoyed this one. I thought that the writing was well done. It was funny at times. It was chaotic at times. The death scenes for the different heroes, like, I didn't mind them at all. I think Superman's was a bit underwhelming, but everyone else was good. I thought that they did a good job with them. Once again, like, if you're annoyed that they disrespected some of the heroes in the game, just know that, like, yeah, it's a villain game. The game is called Suicide Squad. This is Task Force X. These are villainous characters. These are bad guys. Even though they try to be more anti-hero with them, which is kind of how they've been going with Harley Quinn and stuff like that. Still, once again, it's a villain story. They're killing the Justice League. It's in the name of the game. They're gonna do some stuff with that, and they certainly did. And there was some cool moments in the game as well. Like, there was a moment where you had to go around inside of Batman's Batcave and turn on these fear toxin mixers. And I thought that part of the game was like a real highlight. It's just too bad that there's not more missions like that are more meticulously designed around each of the characters, right? But then again, like, it's still a blast to play. I still had a really good time with it. I like seeing some of the more niche characters like Gizmo make a comeback. Toyman. I mean, obviously they changed up the characters a little bit, but still, it's cool to see them in this game, and maybe we'll see them in the future. Who knows? But with season 2 just starting for Suicide Squad, I'm sure that I'm probably not going to get back to it for this season 2 of content. I'm not going to buy the battle pass or anything like that, but I got my money's worth. I paid $20 for it. I got my money's worth. I was happy with the time that I had. I enjoyed the time that I had. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was reasonably good. I enjoyed my time. And if you disagree, that's fine. But for me personally, I found the experience to be enjoyable, and I was content with how the whole thing went. And I've played it to a point where I've exhausted my patience with repeating the levels. And now I'm saying, yeah, I thought it was fine. And if they do some sort of like end game thing where you finally get an ending for Brainiac, then I'll probably boot it back up again and do that. But for the time being, I think I can close the book on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I had a good time with it, and yeah, I can move on with my life. This section's going a little bit slower than I thought, so we're going to speed up a little bit. Cruisin' Blast. Cruisin' Blast was a fun time. It's a Switch exclusive, so if you don't have a Switch, you can't play it. But Cruisin' Blast, obviously, it's in the Cruisin' series. Back in the day when I had N64, I played Cruisin' the USA, and I know a lot of people rag on that game, but when I played it as a kid, I had a lot of fun with it. The cartridge that I got had a secret unlock for a school bus to play as a school bus. And I remember playing through as the school bus, and I really was like having a good time. And then I went to go select the vehicle again, and the school bus wasn't there anymore because I beat the campaign or whatever you want to call it in the game. And I was like, oh no, I don't even I never knew how to get the school bus back. And nowadays like I could Google it, but it's like, what's the point? I don't have the game. But Cruisin' Blast was a lot of fun. It has some new stuff in the Cruisin' series that I thought was good. You can buy up to 5 nitro boosts. You can upgrade the decals and engine of your car if you so desire. There's like an XP system too, so you can level up your cars and do stuff like that. You can find these golden keys inside of each course to unlock new and wacky cars. Like you can get a unicorn, a hammerhead shark, a helicopter, an ATV. You know, all these different goofy things, which is pretty fun. The courses themselves, the graphics aren't like amazing in the game. If you're going into this game going, oh, I want a graphical showcase, this is not the one for you. Cruisin' Blast kind of looks exactly like you expect the arcade version of the game to look. But it's still, the courses are still kind of cool. They do repeat the courses a couple times with a bit of a reskin, so it's not like the most variety-filled course set ever, but I found it to be a fun time. Had a little bit of challenge in there, trying to get first place in every race. At the end of the day, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was fairly good for a cruising game. I enjoyed my time with it, and yeah, I beat it, and I said, okay, that was fun. Probably won't play it anymore, but hey, it was a fun time while it lasted. Other games that I played this past week, Me and My Katamari. I kind of touched on it in the last section. It's a Katamari game, so you kind of know what you got to do. You roll around the ball, picking up objects to add to the ball, make it bigger. And this game is more of the same, except it's portable on the PSP. And the control scheme for it was really weird. You pressed up on both the D-pad and triangle to move forward, and then, of course, left and square, right and O, down and X to do different directions. It was very weird. My hands were really cramping while I was playing the game, especially during the later levels where you had to be a little bit faster doing things. The camera controls, I struggled with the camera controls throughout the entire experience. You can move your guy around the sphere to make it a little bit easier, but still, I was constantly just fighting the camera in the game. Same thing happened in Katamari Damacy as well. That's really the only negative I had about that game. With this one, though, it's more of a bite-sized package. I think they did a good job of translating the Katamari gameplay to the PSP. There's a couple loading screens and things and weird decisions that they made, or I guess they had the decisions to make the game run on the PSP. But essentially, once you get to a certain point in your rolling, they have to pause the game and load a new section and then replop you down in the map, and then they give you a new objective, like get 70 meters with a minute 50 or whatever, you know. So it's a bit of a slimmed down experience. It's a bit of a weirder, I guess, experience in terms of Katamari games. But the core gameplay is still really good, still really fun. They also have like these bonus missions you could do where collect anything that's hot or collect something that's cold, and that's, you know, you get extra bonus points for collecting cold things and hot things and etc. So that's also always a blast to do as well. And instead of rebuilding the galaxy, you're rebuilding islands. So each animal comes to you and they're like, hey, I want an island that's hard. So you collect hard things to make a hard island, or you collect bright things for a bright island. And it's a really cutesy time, really fun time. There's gifts and extra characters to find in the levels as well. And the dialogue is crazy as ever, and the graphics are as crazy and wild as ever. So if you're looking for a fun time on the go for a Katamari game, I mean, it's a decent enough time. I enjoyed it. I thought that it played pretty well. I just wish that the control scheme didn't cramp my fingers, and I think that happened to a lot of people as well. But in the end, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I had a decent time with it as well, and I would definitely play it again in the future if I really wanted to. All right, here's for some games that we played on stream this past week. We finished 3 games on stream. Lego City Undercover is the first one that we played and finished. For a Lego game and an open world Lego game at that, it does a decent job at the open world aspect of it. Um, but the game isn't like super fun. It's kind of boring. There's a lot of just running around doing various odd jobs in between levels. The levels themselves, they didn't really start to get interesting until you started to unlock more costumes for your character. So essentially, your police character is undercover, as the title suggests, and you collect different costumes to do different things. So the firefighter can use his axe to break down doors. The burglar can use his crowbar to open doors and crack safes. The miner can uses pickaxe to break through boulders and plant dynamite. The astronaut can use teleporters and call down supply drops from space. The gardener can water plants and make them grow and use a chicken to glide to different places, right? And once we unlocked every costume that we could, that's when the game really started to shine. That's where I started to enjoy the game. But unfortunately, it took so long to get there. It was just a long, dare I say, slog to get to that point, and I was relatively disappointed with the game as a whole. I felt bored. Nothing was really going on. The gameplay was fine, and the game ended up being fine. But in the end, I wasn't like super impressed with it. Like, it started off on like a bit of a high note, introducing you to this new world, this Lego city, and then it ended on a high point. But in the middle, in those like couple, like those 6 hours in the middle, just a big slog to get through. So I ended up giving it a C tier. I thought it was decent, but like, yeah, it didn't really sing to me like to some other people. Also played a game called F-Zero Maximum Velocity. This is the Game Boy Advance game for the F-Zero games. And after playing Super Mario, I played a bit of that Super Mario Advance game, the Super Mario Kart Super Circuit, and that controlled like shit. And I was like, oh, F-Zero is probably going to be a little bit better, right? No. I found myself fighting the controls throughout the entire game. And any time that I thought that I was starting to get used to the controls, I would bang off of like 5 different walls and fall behind and have to reset. And then after all of that was said and done, they added ice physics into the game, and they added more jumps into the game. And by the time that I finished the last tournament, I was spent. I was pretty frustrated with it. I probably should have put it down when the ice physics came in there, because that's when I really started to steam. But in the end, I just really could not stomach this game. I could not play it anymore, even if I wanted to. I gave it an F tier. And then we played to finish Gargoyle's Quest, which is a Game Boy game, a original Game Boy game. And yeah, this was just like a weird one. It's almost like a mix between The Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, where you have these top-down sections that are kind of like Legend of Zelda, where you talk to people and you get items and you find items and stuff like that. And then there's also the side-scrolling sections that are kind of like The Legend of Zelda 2, where you're side-scrolling and you're hitting enemies and whatever. And the difference is they are playing as a gargoyle who can fly and shoot fire, but still the concept is relatively the same. As you go through the game, it's kind of like a Metroidvania. You unlock new abilities, like being able to blast through walls and have a sticky putty, blast a sticky putty onto a spike so you don't hit it, right? And you can jump off of it. The boss fights were abysmal. The soundtrack was annoying. The graphics were not great. The sprites were constantly flickering, even on the NSO version. In the end, I gave it a D tier, but I wasn't too fond of this one either, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to the next part of the show, which is What's in the News. All right. I forgot to mention this at the start of the show, but I was having some trouble with my recording software last episode, which is why sometimes I would randomly just stop, I was just freeze and my audio wouldn't go through. I think I fixed the problem, so we'll see how this one goes. A long time ago, I would have encoder errors on my software, and that was the main thing that was causing issue. So if encoding error comes up on my software after this point, I'll have to look into it a little bit more. But I think I fixed the problem, so we'll go from there. All right, the big news of the week is that Xbox Game Pass has a new tier and a price increase. I believe this is worldwide, so no matter if you live in the US all the way to Japan, the prices for Xbox Game Pass has risen, which is something that I think we all saw coming, especially after Xbox started closing down studios to save some money. So the price hike is here. It's not like a super big price hike. It's like $3 or whatever for each tier, but still it's an increase in price. And there's also a new tier in there for, well, I'll talk about it here in a second. So the new tier is called the standard subscription tier. It's going to be $15 a month, but it will not include day one releases. You'll still get all the benefits of the Game Pass core, which is like 50 games plus online multiplayer for consoles, along with member deals and discounts. But on top of that, you'll have, for the standard subscription, you'll have access to all of the base games for Xbox Game Pass that aren't brand new first-party Xbox titles. So if you have the Game Pass Ultimate, you get everything still, but the Game Pass Ultimate price is going from $16.99 or $17, I'll just round up, to $20 a month. And then the Game Pass for PC is going from $10 to $12 a month. And the Game Pass for PC only includes the PC version of Game Pass, as it suggests. You don't have online multiplayer for console, and you also don't get any discounts as well with that tier, I believe. So now the three or the four tiers for Xbox Game Pass are Xbox Game Pass Core, which stayed the same. There was no price increase for Core. There's the standard that's $15 a month that does not include day one games like your Halo Infinites and your Starfields. And then there's also Game Pass for PC, which is the PC version only of Game Pass. I believe that one does not come with day one releases, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong about that. They didn't specifically say. But then there's also the Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which is $20 now. It comes with everything, including day one releases. Now, you could argue that you don't really need to do the Game Pass Ultimate tier because Xbox kind of is, spacing out their games pretty fairly throughout the year. So you could pay for Ultimate when you want to play the first party Xbox release, but just pay for standard tier for every other game that gets released on Xbox Game Pass. You could argue that you could do that. You could also do the core experience if you really don't care and you just kind of want the core games. The core games are a good lot. I think it's really worth the price to do the core if you don't really want all the games ever, right? They also said that prepaid codes that you buy in store will still be working for the next year or so after they get through all the stock on those. So if you want to, you could buy a month or a year of Game Pass Ultimate for the original price if you get the cards from Target or whatever. Game Pass Core is $75 a year. It went up. Oh, it did go up. Why didn't they put this with the other tiers? Oh my gosh. I'm going to blame the website on this one. Game Pass Core went from $60 a year to $75 a year. So what? That's like a $2 increase as well, or a $3 increase as well. So, okay, I was wrong before, and I apologize. So these changes will take effect for new members right now. So if you do not have Xbox Game Pass and you buy Xbox Game Pass right now, you'll get the new prices. The new prices will be applied to existing members in September. So your prices won't increase until September. And then on the 18th of September, the Game Pass codes that you can buy in stores will be available for another 13 months after September. So that gives you a little bit of leeway if you get a Game Pass card for Christmas or something like that. So there you go. I saw this coming from a mile away because, as I mentioned before, the day one releases, actually I probably mentioned this last episode, day one releases really do hurt Microsoft in the end. And it's sad to say, but it does really hurt them in the end. And I know that this Game Pass model has been the crutch for Microsoft for quite some time. But now that they have more studios than they can pay for, they're going to really need to start managing their money a little bit better. And of course, they can either keep closing studios or they can up the prices of Game Pass. And I will gladly pay an extra $3 a month if that means that a studio that I enjoy playing games from, like ID Software or something like that, id Software, stays up, and other studios as well can stay up. You know. But there you go. Also, in terms of Xbox news, Xbox gaming is now available on Amazon TV and Amazon Fire TV sticks. So you don't even need to have a console to play Xbox Game Pass anymore. You can just have if you have a wireless controller, you can sync it to your TV with Bluetooth, I'm pretty sure, and then you can download the Xbox Game Pass app, pay for a subscription, and play any game via Xbox Cloud Gaming, which I believe Xbox Cloud Gaming is still in like a beta mode, so it may not be the most perfect way to play your games, but it is something that you can do if you so desire. I think this is a good idea. I mean, not only is this going to get Xbox Game Pass into more houses, because I think most people have an Amazon Fire Stick. Like I'm pretty sure most people have an Amazon Fire Stick, much like most people have like one of those little, Amazon little robot things in their house too, like the Alexa. That's it. Yeah. Anyway. So Fire Stick devices, you'll be able to plug them into your TV or use an Amazon, TV that has it built in. You can connect a controller with Bluetooth. Make sure, obviously the controller needs to have wireless in it, of course. And you'll need an Xbox Game Pass subscription, but then after that, you're good to go. The caveat is that I believe you need to have an Ultimate subscription because that's the one that comes with Xbox Cloud Gaming. So you will have to pay the highest price tag if you want to use the Xbox Cloud Gaming. But once again, I think I said this in the Discord as well. It doesn't cost Microsoft anything. They don't have to make a console. They don't have to manufacture a console. That's what I meant. Manufacture a console. They don't really have to manufacture controllers specifically for this, like Stadia did, or whatever. And plus you don't even need to actually use an Xbox controller. You can just buy the subscription service. This is a net win for Xbox. Even if this only brings in like 1,000 new subscribers, that's 1,000 more $20 price tags that they wouldn't have had before. I think this is a good idea for them, and hopefully the Xbox Cloud Gaming works well enough, but hey, well, we'll see. All right, Nintendo put out a weird trailer on their Twitter for a game called Emio. The trailer was like 20 seconds long, features some creepy noises, and a like spotlight shine on a white, kind of like a disgusting white wall. And then a guy in a trench coat or whatever with a paper bag over his head with a smile in Sharpie drawn on it. Flashes on the screen, it does some like weird twitching, and then the trailer ends. People are suspecting that this is the game that's being developed for Nintendo by Blumhouse, right? Blumhouse Games. Because they came out and said that they were making a game specifically for Nintendo, so it's possible that this is the game that they are working on. This also left a lot of people baffled. Like Twitter was on fire for about, I don't know, the rest of the day after this came out. Lots of people made videos on it, of course. So if you want more information about it, really no one has really any concrete info on it, of course. But I guess we'll see in the coming weeks, or maybe in the next Nintendo Direct, what this Emio game actually is. It's probably going to be like a survival horror game if I know my stuff. But I guess we'll see. The only thing that Nintendo said was #Who is Emio? So it's possible that this Emio character is kind of like your Freddy Fazbear or your Poppy Playtime, and they follow you around, chase you around while you collect things, like your Slender Mans as well. But we'll see. We'll see in the end. All right, Nintendo Switch Sports. The basketball update is now live, and you can play basketball now. If you don't recall, during the last Nintendo Direct, they showed off that they were going to be able to play basketball in the near future, and here it is. We're there. So the basketball game mode is very much like the Wii Sports Resort style, where one team has the ball, you pass it around, and if it gets knocked away or if it gets caught by the other team, the game kind of resets and switches to the other team with the basketball. You can move around slightly and dunk and shoot from whatever position you're in. There's also a free throw mode where you can do like the free throw challenge, where you try and throw as many basketballs into the basket as you can, as fast as you can. You can play basketball globally, locally, or online, I suppose, with friends. They also did some improvements to the gameplay as well, but I mean, who really cares? So there you go. I'm sure it's a fun game mode. I'm sure that basketball is so much fun, but I don't think I'll be going back to this game simply to play basketball. I know they added golf as well since the last time I talked about it, but yeah, I mean, Nintendo Switch Sports is just going to be the ugly duckling to the sports in the sports series. I think that this entire game was kind of a bit of a misstep by Nintendo, but it made money, and that's really all that Nintendo wanted. All right, Gran Turismo 7 is getting a big update this coming week on July 25th. They're going to add new tracks, new cars, and new physics. That's right. They didn't really go into details as to what the physics are, but they said that new physics are coming to Gran Turismo 7. Pretty interesting there. Update 1.49 is also going to bring in some new tracks and a lot of some new cars as well, along with whatever GT Sophie AI is that's apparently going to be compatible with the game. So the new cars are from the last entry, Gran Turismo 6. They are the Ferrari 430 Scuderia from 2007, the BMW M3 from 1997, the Lamborghini Gallardo LP 564 from 2008, the Genesis Vision Gran Turismo, the Subaru Impreza Rally Car from 1998, and the RUF RGT 4.2 from 2016. So if you want to check out those cars, they will be coming July 25th to the game, along with those new physics. And then finally for the news today, a PS5 dev kit was sold on eBay at some point for $6,500 or 6,050 euros. So Sony, and I guess I would say anyone or any publisher who puts a console out there and has a dev kit for those consoles, they're very strict on their consoles. They make sure they don't ever get to market, that they don't do whatever. If they do somehow get out there, they try to, use legal action to get them, or they brick them through online connectivity. So it's hard to say when this was actually sold. There's no date for the sale of the PS5 dev kit. But what they did do, I'm going to put a picture right over here. What the guy did was he made it look like a pizza maker. He put some frozen pizzas behind it, a spatula with the PlayStation logo. I would say that the PlayStation logo is probably photoshopped on there. And then you see the dev kit itself with the V formation has like a little bit of like a pizza in the middle of it, and he called it the Sony PS5 Pizza Station 5 Development Kit Pizza Kit 825 gigabytes DFI-D1000AA dev/test dev kit. Who knows how he got his hands on this? Who knows who ended up buying this, and if it still works or not? Who knows? But at this point, that's a pretty cool purchase, even if it doesn't work, honestly, because how many times do you see a dev kit be put online, especially something this new? Obviously, there were dev kits being sold for like the GameCube and stuff back a little while ago that were pretty cool, but this is pretty cool. You don't normally see this kind of stuff out there, and for them to skirt around like like Sony maybe seeing it or eBay seeing it and for what it really is. Pretty interesting idea to make it into a pizza machine. Not too bad. And whoever bought this, I'm sure their collection is a lot cooler if they have a PS5 collection or just a collection in general. It's pretty cool. And stuff like this really, I think it really only goes up in value because it's cool, it's niche. It looks nothing like the actual console release, And if it's working, I'm sure it's worth even more. All right, let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. All right, Sonic X Shadow Generations had a new trailer drop on the Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, and it pretty much was the opening, animated sequence for the new Shadow the Hedgehog content for the game called Dark Beginnings. So essentially, the animated style is very much like your other Sonic anime openings, right? And Shadow is sitting there with a little girl, and he's like, "Oh, I need to protect you. I can't believe this." And she's like, "It'll be okay, Shadow." And then there's an explosion, and a robot comes in through the ceiling, and he's like, "There is the test subject. We need to restrain him." And then all hell breaks loose, and Shadow gets taken away, and blah blah blah. So that's kind of like I guess that would be the opening sequence that you see in the game when you boot it up. So Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings is the official name for the Shadow content. And that is still coming in fall of 2024 if you want to check that out. But if you want to check out the video itself, it's on the Sonic the Hedgehog official YouTube channel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed is coming to PS5, Xbox, PlayStation. I'm sorry, I already said PlayStation, Switch, and PC on October 18th. So this is the game that's based off of the Mutant Mayhem movie that came out last year. I thought that movie was pretty good. I gave it like a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed myself throughout the movie. This game takes place after the events of that movie. So if you saw Mutant Mayhem, this will be a nice little companion piece to it. So essentially, I guess more mutants are popping up all over the city. I believe Bebop, or Rocksteady. Rocksteady was shown off in there. They also had a mutated hippo kind of guy, a mutated bee. So I would say that that the entire game is just going to be mopping up the random mutants who are still left after the catastrophe of the first movie. And the graphics for the game are in the style of the movie, so it's a bit more like a little bit of rough edges and stuff like that. It's hard to really explain, but it's kind of like a low frame rate kind of thing going on. It's pretty cool. I mean, for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, we haven't really gotten like a really good one in a while. And I mean because we did get a good one, Shredder's Revenge. But I'm just saying, like, it's been a while since we've had like a good 3D action Turtles game. It's been a little while since we've seen a good one of these, and this one looks pretty good. I like that they copied the style of the movie. I'm pretty sure they brought all the voice actors back to reprise their roles for this one, and it is playable in co-op if you want to. I believe it has 4-player co-op, which is pretty cool. So if you want to check that out, that comes out October 18th. All right, NBA 2K25, the cover athletes have been revealed. So the standard edition is going to be $70. It'll be available on all those different platforms. And on the cover is going to be the Boston Celtics superstar, Jason Tatum. I believe the Celtics just won the NBA Finals, so it makes sense that a Celtics player would be on the cover of the next NBA game. The game is scheduled to release on the 6th of September. So both the PS4, PS5, Xbox, and I'm guessing there's going to be a Switch version. He's going to grace the cover of that. If you get the All-Star Edition, he'll be accompanied by the Las Vegas Aces, Aja Wilson, who is a WNBA star. She will also headline the GameStop exclusive WNBA edition of the game here in the United States. Elsewhere, the 8-time All-Star Vince Carter will front the Hall of Fame edition, which is pretty. I like this Hall of Fame edition cover because he's like half gold, half human. It's kind of cool looking. But it's nice to see the WNBA getting some recognition here in the game. I believe the WNBA was also had a variant cover for the last game, so it's cool that they're continuing this. And right now, like, the WNBA is actually very popular right now. I was watching a video by That's Good Sports, and he was talking about it, and I didn't realize that it was getting so much momentum. So cool, nice for them. Hopefully they can get paid a bit more money now that they're the game, the WNBA is actually in the mainstream a bit. And hopefully it will stay in the mainstream. I know a lot of people are like, oh, WNBA, whatever. But, it's nice to see, these people who are very passionate about the sport that they're playing get some recognition and stuff like that. So the All-Star Edition is going to be available for $100. It'll include 1,000 VC points and My Team content. It'll include 10 My Team player cards, 3 guaranteed to be 89 or over, 3 diamond shoe cards, 3 takeover boosts, and 1 amethyst coast card, as well as in the My Career content, including 150 skill boosts. Holy crap. 75 Gatorade boosts, a Jason Tatum cover jersey, a Jason Tatum electric skateboard skin, and a 2K25 Cover Stars design t-shirt. The limited availability Hall of Fame edition will be offered through the 8th of September for $150. It'll include everything that was in the All-Star edition, plus a My Career Vince Carter cover jersey, a Season 1 Pro Pass with 4 upfront Pro Pass rewards, and a 12-month NBA League Pass subscription. So if you want to check that out, that'll be coming in September. There you go. All right, a game called Exhausted Man is coming around to multiple different platforms. This is a game where you play as a very exhausted man, and he kind of like crawls and wiggles his way across the floor. It's kind of one of those games that's kind of like physics-based and also kind of rage-baity, where the simplest task is, of course, a huge struggle. So just getting a soda can off of a shelf, you have to really drag his hand up and grab it and then drag his hand back and then wiggle his way over to the other thing. So if you like games like that, or, if you just like, kind of goofy little games in general, this might be one to pick up. The art style is very interesting. It kind of looks like a claymation style as well. It's also got a pretty fun soundtrack to it. I don't know how much money it's going to cost when it comes out. Probably going to be like a $20 game or so. But this is coming out July 25th. If you want to check that out, the trailer is actually on PlayStation's YouTube channel, official PlayStation YouTube channel. Planet Coaster 2 is adding in. Planet Coaster 2 has been announced to be coming out later this year. It's a sequel to the award-winning Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster is obviously like the new Roller Coaster Tycoon of today. Obviously, Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day was huge, got plenty of sequels and stuff. But now Planet Coaster seems to be what's taking over the scene. I still play Roller Coaster Tycoon. I still play Open RCT as well. But if you want to check out the sequel to Planet Coaster, it's going to be coming out later this year. You're going to be able to make water parks now. That's the main new thing that they're adding to the game, along with, of course, the latest and greatest updates in roller coasters and rides. Probably a bunch of goofy stuff in there as well. Planet Coaster, even though it's kind of like a simulation type game, it does stray away from the norm and puts some pretty absurd like ride designs in there, of course. But there's also plenty of regular ride designs as well. I think it's pretty cool that you can actually, from the trailer, if the trailer isn't lying, you can put a roller coaster and a water slide kind of right next to each other, which would be kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to add water parks in there. I don't think we've really had like a water park simulation kind of game. I know there was like water slides and log flumes in the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, but there never was like a water park thing where you can make a pool and make water slides that go into the pool and blah, blah, blah. So kind of cool. I like that idea. No release date for it yet, other than, it's going to be coming out sometime this year in fall of 2024. There will be a gameplay first look on the 31st of July. An old retro game from Sunsoft is making its return, Aero the Acrobat. This is a 16-bit platformer from the SNES and Mega Drive days back in 1993, the year that I graced this planet. This will be available in August. I'm pretty sure that it's just going to be a digital download, of course, but you can play the game in all its 16-bit glory on the 2nd of August this year. I think that, there's a rewind feature, turbo mode, whatever that means, and save state functionality, along with being able to choose from several different screen filters, peruse a gallery of artwork, and various cheats that you'll be able to enable in the game as well. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available on August 2nd. The trailer is on Ratalaika Games YouTube channel. And, it looks kind of like what you expect from a 16-bit platformer. If you want to check that out, though, the game was originally praised for its unique game design where you actually complete objectives in the world rather than just getting to the end of the world. So, maybe it'd be kind of cool to revisit. A party-based Souls-like game called Deathbound is coming August 8th. I'm not saying that this is like a party game, join up with your friends in Mario Party kind of thing. It's kind of like Donkey Kong 64 in a way, or something like that, where you can actually switch between different characters who have different builds and different skill trees in order to tackle different objectives. So that's a pretty unique spin on the gameplay, even though there was like Mortal Shell and even the new, there's a new game coming out. It started with an E, Estonia or something like Estoria. That kind of is the same idea where you put on different masks to change your builds and stuff like that. But this is actually like hot swapping between a couple different characters with different weapons and different abilities. So that's pretty cool. The gameplay itself kind of looks half sci-fi, half medieval in a way, like kind of like a, I don't know. There's like a post-apocalyptic world that you're fighting in, but you have like medieval characters fighting medieval characters, and so there's some sci-fi in there. So it looks like it's maybe going to be like a time-hopping adventure as well. But if you want to check that out, there's a trailer of it on Tate Multimedia's YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, it looked pretty fun. Might pick it up myself if I see something, if I see some more gameplay. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 8 remake. This is coming out sometime this year, I'm pretty sure. There's going to be a physical version in Japan only, but the digital version will be available worldwide on the 24th of October on PlayStation, Switch, and Steam. If you want to pre-order the game, you'll get a pre-order scenario called The Coalition Against Cao Cao, or Chow Chow. Also, another one called Valor Triumphs. If you pre-order the game or if you purchase the game early, there will be a digital deluxe edition with a special digital art book, a digital soundtrack, and another bonus scenario called Liu Bei's Three Tacticians. So I know the game is called Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That might just be a translation thing because it's definitely not romancing. It's more of like a civilization type game where, you're bartering and warring with other civilizations. So I mean it's a remake, so obviously this game was out before. I never heard of this game before, but if you want to check it out, it'll be available on the 24th of October, or you can check out the YouTube video on Koei Tecmo's YouTube channel. Another bit odd game is called Love Is All Around. You'll be able to woo one of 6 beauties, or all 6 of them if you want to, in this new Chinese dating sim game. So the game is being translated from Mandarin to English, but you can also play it in its original language if you want to. This game is actually releasing, I believe, on PlayStation exclusively, if I'm not mistaken. But it's an FMV game, so it's all like real world actors and actresses playing. It's a first person game too, so you'll really feel intimate while talking and interacting with these 6 characters. Obviously there's like, choices and stuff like that in the game as well as you try and romance one of the characters. You'll be playing the role of a guy named Gu Yi, who will try to woo one of the 6 beauties. In a press release, they said, "We are all nerds who want to have a date every day, but will never step out of the house into the real world. Therefore, we would like to use interactive video tool as a tool to create one fantasy dream after another, to create dreams for players, and to make our dreams come true for ourselves." Kind of sounds a bit dystopian, but if this will help someone get out of the house and actually interact with a real person, maybe it's not too bad of an idea. But yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded me of those Super Seducer games, even though those are a bit more out there. It seems like it's trying to actually teach you how to interact with people rather than just like giving you bizarre choices here and there to, do things. I don't know. It's kind of a weird one, but hey, if you want to check that out, that'll be available sometime later this year. And you can check out the channel, the YouTube video on PlayStation's YouTube channel. A game called Disaster Band is out now. This is on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and Switch. If you remember Trombone Champ from last year, how you use your mouse to like go up and down with the notes and make the noises by clicking on them and moving the mouse up and down, it's pretty much the same thing, except the graphic style is a little bit different. It's like a hand-drawn style, and there's also 20 instruments that you can play as, from guitars to mandarins to flutes to a trombone. You can play as all of those things. Also a choir as well. You can play as a choir. You also can have a cat in your hands to play with the cat and make it meow. Kind of weird. There's online multiplayer for up to 4 people. There are 20 tracks from the get-go. Timeless classics. Oh boy. And there's 15 instruments to choose from classical instruments to choir instruments and blah, 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 blah. If you want to check that out, it is available now. I think it's pretty cheap, but, Trombone Champ was a really like a flash in the pan kind of thing. It was really hot when it came out, and this is obviously just trying to jump on that trend, which is all right. So anyway, it seems like this is more of like a ripoff rather than like something inspired by Trombone Champ or trying to I don't know. It just feels like it's more of like a ripoff. That's all I'm trying to say. So, but if you want to check it out, there's a YouTube video, Toplitz Productions on Toplitz Productions YouTube channel. If you want to check out the game itself, there you go. All right, Phasmophobia. The new release date is now here. The game is still not on Xbox or PlayStation. They've been trying to get it on there, but there's been a couple things causing issues along the way. They've had to push the game back a couple times, but now they officially have a new release date for the game. The game will be playable later this year, probably in October. So they don't actually have a firm release date, but they said that the game will probably come in later this year in like Halloween time. So the game's going to be about $20 on console if you want to check that out. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since Phasmophobia came out. I don't think it has the same audience that it did before, but maybe releasing it on console in 2024 will give it a bit of a boost, especially during the October month. All right, Nintendo has added 3 more Game Boy Advance games to the Game Boy Advance library on the NSO service, the Expansion Pass service. They are the legendary Starfy games. All 3 of the games, including the third one, which was never released outside of Japan, is now available for you to play if you own a Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass. So, so the Dentsu no Starfy, which was originally released in 2002. The second game was in 2003, called Dentsu no Starfy 2, and then Dentsu no Starfy 3 was released in 2004. So once again, all 3 of these games are available to play, the third one being the first time it's playable outside of Japan. Now, in the trailer, they only showed Japanese text, so I don't know if they've been translated, like the English version has been translated for the third game. But the first 2 games should have English translations, so that should be no problem. But yeah, we'll see. Starfy games, I didn't really play them myself, but I do know that there is a diehard fan base behind Starfy. Does this mean that we're going to be getting a new Starfy game sometime in the near future? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And finally, for the coming soon section here, here's the 13 new games coming to PlayStation Plus and Extra and Premium tiers this coming week. So on July 16th, you'll be able to play these PlayStation Plus Extra games if you own the Extra tier. Remnant 2, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Enhanced Edition, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, No More Heroes 3, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, Jackbox Party Pack 9, Deadcraft, and Steep. It's a pretty solid collection of games. Remnant 2 was decent. No More Heroes 3, I haven't played it yet, but it looks pretty fun. Travis Strikes Back, or again, is pretty good. So if you want to check those out, those will be available with the Extra tier. And then with the Premium tier, you'll be able to play Job Simulator for the PSVR 2, Summoner for the PS2, Ratchet & Clank Size Matters for the PSP, and Jeanne d'Arc on the PSP as well. I haven't heard of this Jeanne d'Arc game, but some people are pretty excited for that. Size Matters, though, I do know that was ported over to the PS2 back in the day. I actually have it on my shelf, along with Secret Agent Clank. I think these games play a little bit better on the PSP, but I don't know which version they're going to use. It's probably going to be some sort of PSP mix PS2 version, I'm sure, but we'll have to wait and see for when it finally comes out. But that's cool. Another Ratchet & Clank game on the service is always good, and I believe it's going to be about, all these games are probably going to be about $10 on the store to buy separately if you so desire. Maybe not Job Simulator, but the other 3 will probably be available to purchase separately for about $10. That's what they're usually at. So, yeah, pretty cool. If you want to check those out, those will be available on July 16th. Alrighty, well, it's that time again where we do the Song of the Week. If you know the name of the song I'm about to play and the game that it came from, you can either post it in the YouTube comments below, and I will give you a heart and a congratulations if you get it correct, or you can go swing over to the Discord in the Ferret64 section on the Discord, link in the description as well. And if you say the correct answer there, I will give you a super reaction. Let's listen to this week's song right now. All right, if you know the name of the song or the game that came from, let me know in the places that I said. All right, folks, have a good rest of your weekend or week. I usually stream on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, but we've added in Wednesday streams for the Summer Backlog Bonanza, where we're playing random games selected by Marbles. This coming week, we're playing Guacamelee 2. So if you want to swing around, check that out. We'll be playing that for probably a stream or two. And then we'll choose another game with the marbles. So it's been going pretty good so far. We've been getting a lot of games done in pretty quick amount of time. So we'll see how many we can complete by the end of August. But as of right now, it's looking pretty good. And anywhere else that you want to check me out, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. I also have a VODs channel called Yemmy the Ferret VODs, where you can watch old live streams all the way back to not really the beginning of my Twitch streaming, but pretty close. I didn't know how to highlight videos until I started playing like The Last of Us, which is like the 5th game that we played on Twitch. But still, it's all those past live streams are there. Plenty of hours of content for you to watch if you so desire. All right, folks, have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening, have a good whatever. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here. So long. The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.